On my wedding night, my husband traded me to his uncle for a business deal. But he didn't know I heard everything. Now, with his uncle's help, I'll make sure he loses everything, starting with the project he sold me for. Please listen to the story. On my wedding night, Henry Fu brought me to his uncle's bedroom. I overheard their conversation. Uncle, Vivian is yours, and that project is mine. No regrets. Henry didn't answer, but the sound of the door closing behind him said it all. Earlier, from behind the wall, I had heard Henry pleading, "Uncle, could you give me the Blooming Flowers project?" I knew Blooming Flowers was a film project featuring many high-traffic celebrity influencers. If he won it, it would certainly bring enormous profits. The other man spoke, his voice slow but with mounting pressure so intense that even I could feel it through the wall. "What makes you think I should give it to you?" Henry's voice was full of confidence. "I'm worthy of Grandfather Fu's trust. I guarantee the conditions will satisfy you." "Uncle." The ticking of the wall clock echoed through the room. I was curious too. For this film project that I had worked so hard to secure even a small stake in, what conditions would Henry offer to persuade Sebastian Pho? But I never expected the condition he offered would be me. "I'll give you Vivian Sheng." The soft click of a lighter sounded, as Sebastian was apparently lighting a cigarette. "No regrets." Henry didn't answer. As he neared the door, he paused briefly. Sebastian chuckled softly. "You can still turn back now." Then came the heavy sound of the door closing. That was his answer. Henry and I had known each other since college. After 5 years together, we got married. Just this morning, we stood before thousands of witnesses, reading our vows and exchanging wedding rings. Yet by evening, he was using me as a bargaining chip with his own uncle. From our college days to my wedding dress, I had always believed I married for love. I never imagined that on my wedding night, I would be struck with such a brutal awakening. All those sweet memories turned out to be nothing but beautiful illusions that Henry had deliberately painted for me. I sank to the floor, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. My heart felt like it had been thrown into an ice cellar, yet my body was growing increasingly hot. Then I remembered. Before leaving the wedding reception, Henry had specifically given me a glass of orange juice. If I hadn't accidentally wandered into the wrong room, I would probably still be sitting there waiting for him in blissful ignorance. I wiped away my tears. Someone like that wasn't worth my heartbreak. Outside the room, the sound of a lighter clicking continued. Sebastian Pho was smoking heavily. The thick smoke seeped into the room, making me cough. Heavy footsteps drew closer and closer. I braced myself against the floor, my consciousness fading. "Don't come any closer." The man actually stopped. He said nothing, just stood there, waiting for time to pass. He was famously patient. Sebastian too silently watched as my eyes gradually became hazy. He tilted his head and asked, "Do you need my help?" I gripped my thighs tightly, trying to stay conscious. Seeing this, Sebastian lifted me up in one swift motion. "Let me take you to the bathroom." I made a small sound of acknowledgement. The smell of cigarette smoke rushed up, making me wrinkle my nose. I wanted to push him away, but I couldn't bear to leave the cool, comfortable feeling. Sebastian tensed his body to let me lean against him. When my hand touched a sensitive spot, he finally caught my hand, his voice hoarse. "That's enough." I don't know if it was because I was so uncomfortable, but those words held no threatening power over me. My body felt like it was burning up. I was breathing heavily, unable to stop myself from pleading softly. "Help me." Sebastian bent down, gazing at me intently. "Vivian Sheng, look carefully." "Who am I?" I wrapped my arms around his neck, my breath coming out gently. "Your uncle." His body froze. His arm wrapped around my waist. "Say my name." "Sebastian Pho." I closed my eyes and obediently spoke, not knowing that his gaze had darkened, deep as an abyss. Dawn had broken when I woke with a start. Last night, Sebastian Pho and I slept together. The curtains were yanked open. Sunlight poured into the room, and only then did I see someone standing by the window. Sebastian too stubbed out his cigarette, his voice lazy. "Wake." Hearing that, I just wanted to crawl into a hole. "What do you plan to do about this?" I looked up sharply, unable to believe my ears. "You want me to take responsibility?" Sebastian Pho acted as if this was completely reasonable. "Yes." Seeing that I seemed to want to avoid the topic, he walked to the bedside. "If you don't want to take responsibility, that's fine too." My eyes lit up. "Then agree to my 10 conditions. The project you want to steal." In the end, I didn't agree, and Sebastian didn't push further. When Henry took my hand and we returned to the family home, Sebastian was already there. His gaze swept over our clasped hands, and he raised an eyebrow. "The newlyweds are quite affectionate." I didn't notice anything unusual, but Henry seemed to detect something. He immediately let go of my hand and respectfully greeted him. "Uncle." Sebastian nodded in acknowledgement. "Uncle," I also called out. He curved the corner of his mouth slightly, looking at me intently. I suddenly had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the very next second, Sebastian dropped a bombshell. "Your wedding night wasn't disturbed by anyone. Was it?" "Disturbed? What happened to me last night, doesn't he know?" I was about to make something up when Henry spoke for me. Everyone knew to be respectful. No one caused any trouble. I glared at Henry. There wasn't a trace of guilt on his face. How did I never realize before how good of an actor he was? Henry looked at me lovingly. "Right, Vivian." This was him demanding I cooperate with him. He really knew how to maintain appearances. Sebastian looked at me for a few seconds, then replied casually, "That's good then." After he left, Henry finally breathed a sigh of relief. I knew Henry was always ambitious, it's just that there was a mountain named Sebastian Pho blocking his path. He wasn't resigned to it, yet he refused to acknowledge his own true capabilities. He only knew how to resent Grandfather Pho for not favoring him. If Grandfather liked him, he believed he would be just as outstanding as Sebastian Pho. At the dinner table, Mrs. Plo took the initiative to speak. "Vivian, when are you planning to have children?" Hearing that, my spoon froze mid-air. Have children? Based on what he had done, I could never have children with him in this lifetime. That depends on Henry. I acted shy, glancing at Henry, passing the ball to him. "Mom, there's no rush, we just got married." Mrs. Tu put down her chopsticks. "I'm just too anxious." Sebastian suddenly spoke up. "Vivian Sheng. I remember you're still not 24 this year. After your birthday next month, you will be." I answered obediently. "When you're young, you should enjoy a few more years. This matter isn't urgent." Hearing Uncle's words, I replied dutifully. Grandfather Pho looked towards Sebastian Pho. "Vivian is young, but you're not getting any younger. When will you bring a wife home?" Sebastian's gaze suddenly shifted to me. "I'm not in a hurry." My heart pounded. Could Sebastian actually like me? When I returned to my room, Pho stopped me. "Vivian, the Lee family. I shouldn't have rushed you about having children like that." She frowned as if she had something difficult to say. "Please, just tell me." Mrs. Pho sighed. "You've seen Henry's career over these years. He's competitive by nature. As a mother, I just hope I can help where I can." I roughly understood. Grandfather was getting older, so he valued family ties more and more. Especially in the past 2 years, he's shown his love for children many times. "You're young, so you'll recover quickly after giving birth." As she spoke, she handed me a bag of pills. She carefully looked around, then leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Tonight, secretly give Henry one pill." After Mrs. Tu left, I looked seriously at the medicine bag. The description only had 4 words. "Give it to Henry. Not a chance." I don't know why I suddenly thought of last night. If Sebastian Pho had taken this pill, the consequences would truly be unpredictable. I was about to put it away when a sudden noise startled me, making my hands shake. The medicine bag fell to the floor. I was about to pick it up when someone beat me to it. Looking up, it was Sebastian Pho. He casually flipped through the medicine bag, the corner of his mouth curving into a slight smile. "Henry can't perform." How would I know if he could or not? "Mom gave it to me." "Were you really planning to give it to him?" Sebastian looked straight into my eyes, waiting for an answer. I didn't avoid it, of course. He's my husband. Giving it to him is natural. Not only will I give it to him, but in the future, I also want to bear his children. Saying these words, I didn't miss his expression. His rough fingertips gently brushed across my lips. He leaned down and whispered in my ear, "You plan to have children with him." His voice didn't reveal much emotion, but I detected a trace of anger. "Are you angry?" He looked at me without denying it. "I won't allow it." I wrapped my arms around his neck and asked, "Sebastian Pho, do you actually like me?" "I like you. I won't deny that." Henry got the Blooming Flowers project as he wished. Once a person becomes complacent, they easily become blind. He actually chose Catherine Jiang as the spokesperson, which was something I absolutely could not accept. 2 years ago, Henry's company suffered serious losses because of a spokesperson issue. After that incident, he borrowed money from me to fill the gap. And I used that money to buy shares in his company. If the company made the same mistake again, the money I invested before would be like throwing it into the river. That was something I didn't want to see, and it was also why I felt suffocated every time I thought about Henry. I just didn't expect he would stumble in exactly the same place again. We can't let Catherine Jiang be the spokesperson. I stood in front of the desk looking down at Henry. He looked up at me, then stood up and asked, "Why? Does she have problems?" Since that loss, decisions about choosing spokespersons were made personally by both of us together. I thought after hearing me say this, he would continue asking for reasons like usual. I don't think there's any problem at all. Did you investigate her thoroughly? A flash of guilt crossed his eyes, then he started bringing up old matters. Before, when we chose Hector Chu, you said no. As a result, he helped our competitor make a fortune. You also rejected Zhao Rushan. Now he's incredibly popular and he doesn't even bother looking at us anymore. The more Henry spoke, the more he felt he was right. I nodded slightly. Whatever makes you happy. After all these years together, he still didn't understand how I worked. If someone didn't have problems, I would definitely use them. The two people Henry just mentioned were because their asking prices were too high. I maintained my principles. Not leaking information to the outside didn't mean they had no problems. Anyway, after all these years, I hadn't gained any benefits from Henry's company. I might as well withdraw my investment now to feel lighter and avoid getting dragged into any mess later. My phone buzzed with a new message notification. Sebastian Pho sent a friend request. I accepted it. Uncle, why are you looking for me? After waiting 2 minutes with no reply, I got bored. I deleted and blocked him in one go. Lilitso messaged me to go out. Wait for me. After sending the message, I followed the location to find her. It was a yacht party. I'm over here. Lily waved at me. I rushed over and hugged her, complaining. Since you married Eric Shen, I haven't been able to hug you even once. Come here. Let me hug you to my heart's content today. Before I could even warm up, I was pulled away. I was about to get angry, but when I looked up and saw it was Sebastian Pho, I became even more unrestrained. What are you doing? Sebastian Pho dragged me away roughly. Lily stood behind us, her face full of interest. Forbidden romance. How interesting. Eric Shen walked over, following Lily's gaze thoughtfully. Wu could try it tonight. Lily reacted, scolding him. Are you perverted? Eric Shen wrapped his arms around her and nodded. Yes. Uncle, let her go. Sebastian Pho. Yes, that's me. You stalker. I glared at him. Sebastian Pho, let me go. Eric Shen kept staring at you from behind just now. Looking is one thing, but his eyes looked like he wanted to kill you. I almost forgot Eric Shen is the psychotype who actually follows through with what he says. How do you think I should thank you? Sebastian's gaze grew more dangerous. Knowing better, I backed down. Thank you. I turned to run for my life, but as usual in these scenarios, no matter how I ran, there was no escape. Sure enough, I was caught. Add me back. On WeChat. Add me back right now. I held up my phone screen for him to see. Done. Yes. Vivian Sheng, truth or dare? Hector Chu called me over, his eyes teasing. This was the young master of the Chu family, who went bankrupt and became an idol. I raised an eyebrow and said, so outdated. But my feet had already automatically walked over. You lost. Hector looked at me with no good intentions in his eyes. I silently looked at the bottle pointing right at me. Truth or dare? Truth is boring, I choose dare. Hector's eyes swept around. I suddenly remembered that the paparazzi company under me had caught him in a scandal and made a fortune from it. He must be planning to get revenge. Choose someone here and kiss them for 30 seconds. Such a tasteless dare, it was nauseating. I looked around and didn't see many familiar faces. My gaze stopped. How about you? I looked straight at Hector Chu. After all, that scandal of his wasn't that big. He just had a girlfriend he'd been dating for 5 years but never publicly acknowledged. Hector appeared to be a playboy on the outside, but he was actually extremely devoted. That wasn't a problem in itself. It was just unfortunate that he was an idol, which made it career suicide. Hector looked at me for 2 seconds, and his teasing smile disappeared. I'll drink. People around understood a bit but didn't know the full story. They simply thought he didn't want to offend the Pho family. The truth was, he really was keeping himself pure. I took a bottle of wine and went outside to sit, enjoying the breeze and watching the sea. When people are idle, they tend to overthink. After loving Henry for 6 years, what exactly did I like about him? I swirled the wine glass in my hand. The person who once tried so hard to make me laugh had now been blinded by self-interest. The sea breeze blew fiercely. Someone sat down next to me. It was Sebastian Pho. I put down my glass and asked him, Uncle, do people inevitably change? Before he could answer, I poured myself more wine and drank. People definitely change. What am I still hoping for? Sebastian bent his head to look at the wine glass. I thought he was going to drink too. Want some? I offered him the bottle, though he'd probably need a different glass. No need. I poured myself another glass. My eyes became increasingly blurry. Just as I brought it to my lips, Sebastian leaned in close. Won't change. I looked at him, forgetting I still had wine in my mouth. The wine ran down the corner of my mouth, following the curve of my neck. I looked up and saw his Adam's apple move slightly. I won't change. He looked at me, his eyes like the Milky Way rising into waves. Sebastian Pho was a representative figure in our circle, an ideal role model for an entire generation. His clean reputation alone made countless people look up to him, not to mention he was widely recognized as the heir to the Pho family. In my perception, Sebastian Pho was a very good person, so good he seemed sacred and untouchable. For someone like that to like me, what did I have that was worthy? What do you like about me? I looked at him without blinking. Everything. Sebastian was about to say something else when I was distracted by another sound. Ambiguous splashing sounds. I looked more carefully. Oh my God. My husband and Catherine Zhang were tangled together kissing passionately. No wonder he insisted on choosing Catherine Zhang as the spokesperson. Those trivial matters about Catherine Zhang, Henry only needed to use a little of the Pho family's power to dig them all out. So that's how it is. I was about to take out my phone to take pictures when I realized I didn't bring it. So I looked at the person next to me. Uncle, lend me your phone to take pictures. Don't take too many, I find it disgusting. Okay. Sebastian Pho took me back to the room to continue our earlier conversation. My face was flushed, but after that interruption my mind was completely clear. Liquid courage, I took another sip. Go ahead, tell me. Sebastian approached, his hand gliding lightly over my collarbone, his eyes fixed on my lips. The days are long, I'll tell you slowly in the future. I shook my head. Want to drink? No glass, then drink. After saying that, I took a sip of wine in my mouth. Sebastian understood and finally drank. The wine tasting ended. Loving Sebastian too must be exhausting. Sebastian didn't deny it. His slender fingers tapped lightly on my waist, rhythmically and absently. It is exhausting. But isn't there a saying, after bitterness comes sweetness? Sebastian had always been very patient. He could wait. Vivian Sheng. Why are you withdrawing your investment? As soon as I got home, Henry's interrogation immediately arrived. His tone was full of annoyance, as if interrogating a criminal. I was irritated and answered coldly. I have no obligation to explain to you. Henry thought it over and finally came to a conclusion. Could it be because I chose Catherine Zhang as the spokesperson? Are you jealous? I truly admired his way of thinking. Sure. I answered perfunctorily to end it. He happily rushed over wanting to hug me. I pushed him away. Disgusting. Henry's expression immediately darkened, but he quickly adjusted. I'm going to shower. A message notification dinged. It was from Lily. Come to Brahma Bar. I messaged back that I'd be there in half an hour. Sneaking out, I casually threw my bag down and sat next to Lily. She made a soft sound of acknowledgement, swirling her wine glass without much interest. I'm so bored. I want a divorce. Me too. I also raised my glass to clink with hers. Cheers to our happy single lives. Happy. Lily downed several glasses. He locked me up. I frowned. He really is crazy. Lily was a free bird, yet Eric Shen wanted to break her wings. What are you going to do? Lily shook her head. He's very difficult to deal with. Indeed, Eric Shen wasn't easy to handle. He was crazy beyond limits. I felt uneasy. From experience, Eric Shen was definitely on his way here. Lily. I have a feeling Eric's coming soon. Lily panicked. Run. She had just stood up when the door handle made a sound. I immediately blocked her, anxiously looking toward the door. Unexpectedly, the person who walked in was someone outside my prediction. Hector Chu. Lily Tso. He looked behind me. Hearing his voice, Lily stepped out from behind me. Trembling slightly, I stared at the two of them. When did these two get involved with each other? Hector curled his lips into a smile. If you had investigated a bit more thoroughly, you'd know she's my girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. Lily corrected in time. I was stunned. Lily's foreign boyfriend turned out to be him. I'd ask about this love debt later. Miss Sheng. Mr. Shen has arrived. The manager came in to announce. Just as I had a bad premonition, the manager had already observed and reported the news. Come with me. Hector pulled Lily away. Lily clearly didn't resist, so I let it be. I just left one sentence. You can get her out safely, right? Don't let Eric Shen find out. Leave the rest to me. Deal with that monkey. I didn't want to get tangled with a madman. I turned on location sharing. Uncle, save me. Vivian Sheng. Where's Lily Tso? Eric Shen brought a line of bodyguards and blocked me. I said with a straight face. Her younger brother picked her up. You'd better not be lying to me. Eric Shen gestured with his eyes toward the back. I thought to myself, go ahead and investigate. This bar is mine anyway. Let's see what you can find out. A bodyguard behind him spoke up. Young master. She really was picked up by Tso Hui. I had just lifted my foot when his people held me back. Eric Shen spoke leisurely. Until I find Lily Tso. You're not leaving here. Looking at Sebastian Pho getting closer and closer, I sat down with peace of mind. Second young master, you're overstepping. A cold voice rang out. I looked up like I'd been rescued. Sebastian too is amazing. When we left I said, thank you uncle. That's the second time. The man said casually. I glanced around. Testing the waters. Let me treat you to a meal. Sebastian Pho laughed. I'm not missing that meal from you. If you don't want to eat, then forget it. What's the address? I hadn't reacted yet. Sebastian patiently repeated, the restaurant address, Don Din. When? How about right now? I probed. No rush. Want to watch the show first? I followed his gaze and saw Henry hugging and kissing a woman inseparably. Still her, Catherine Zhang. Uncle, let's put on a show too. I wasn't serious at all, completely unafraid. Anyway, with someone as serious as Sebastian Pho, he would definitely not agree to this. I waited for him to refuse. Who knew he'd pull me into the car? Too many people outside, it affects the city's aesthetics. Get in. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I felt like Henry was staring at me. As soon as we got in the car, Sebastian pressed me down, clinging tightly. Outside the car, Henry's eyes were glued to the situation on this side. Just now, he seemed to see Vivian. The more Henry thought about it, the more it seemed like her. He let go of Catherine Zhang and hurriedly walked to the car door, politely knocking. Hearing the noise, I immediately opened my eyes wide. Henry curiously peered inside. His eyes met mine directly. I knew everything. I shouldn't feel guilty, but I was a moral person. Feeling a bit guilty was normal. Sebastian obviously heard too. His body froze, but he continued pressing me down. I said, let go. I struggled softly. 5 minutes later Sebastian draped his coat over me and sat up straight with a serious expression. The person outside the window was also very patient. Only when the car window rolled down did it reveal Sebastian Pho's beautiful profile. Henry obediently called out, Uncle. Is there something? Henry tried to tilt his head to look inside the car, but Sebastian blocked him completely. He couldn't see anything. Maybe I saw wrong. Henry told himself. That night, he had given Vivian Sheng to his uncle. He was the one who drugged her. Vivian definitely didn't know. Nothing. Uncle. Henry watched the car leave. Next to him, Catherine Zhang tilted her head over and asked casually, who was that? The car didn't look special on the outside, but she knew clearly it was a globally limited edition. The owner must be extremely powerful. Nobody. Henry's voice dropped significantly. He had always hated hearing other women mention his uncle. Even normal inquiries were not allowed. Seeing Henry angry, Catherine Zhang immediately softened her voice to coax him. I leaned out the window to look and saw those two kissing again. So, can't bear it. I pulled my head back in. Yeah, can't bear it. If you can't bear it, why not send them both to heaven early? Sebastian said nothing, silently pressing the button to raise the partition. Seeing this action, I had a bad feeling and quietly scooted away a bit. Come here, no. I secretly observed Sebastian's expression. Not seeing anything unusual, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief, but at that time I didn't know this was exactly how he showed anger. The calmer he was, the angrier he actually was. I'll take you back to the family home. I snapped awake. So it was time again for the biweekly family dinner. You're not coming? I asked. I have work at the company. Only when I sat down at the dining table did I slowly realize Sebastian Pho was probably angry. But right now, whether he was angry or not, I wasn't sure. I only knew grandfather was definitely angry. Why hasn't Sebastian returned? Grandfather asked the butler. The butler answered, young master has company matters. He'll visit you later. Grandfather snorted. No matter how big the matter, rules cannot be broken. Call him back for dinner. Yes, sir. I looked at the table full of delicious food in front of me. My stomach was already growling with hunger. But grandfather hadn't picked up his chopsticks yet, so no one dared to eat. It seemed we had to wait for Sebastian Pho to arrive before the meal could begin. Hungry. Henry, sitting next to me, nudged my arm and whispered. I made a soft sound of acknowledgement, but the next second I regretted it. I didn't understand what got into Henry as he turned to tell grandfather. Why hasn't grandfather eaten yet? Grandfather glanced at him. Your uncle hasn't returned yet. What's the rush? Henry's eyes flashed with a hint of distortion, but he quickly changed to a joking tone. Either way, don't let grandfather's grandchild go hungry. Everyone's eyes in the house immediately focused on me. Henry winked at me. I'm pregnant. How did I not know anything about this? You're pregnant. Mrs. Ko was overjoyed. How could that be? Could it be? I was about to explain when Henry interrupted. We just came back from the hospital checkup. 3 days pregnant. Henry looked at me tenderly. I was truly speechless. I was about to say I wasn't pregnant when I was interrupted again. This time it was the person who just walked in, Sebastian Pho. Just came from the hospital checkup. Sebastian looked straight into his eyes, his gaze seeming to see through all the lies. Henry clenched his fists. Not submitting to Sebastian was real, and being afraid of him was also real. That's right. Hearing the answer, Sebastian smiled with satisfaction. You have one chance. Henry gritted his teeth and said, I have her pregnancy test. I was stunned. When did I get tested? Why didn't I know anything? Sebastian took the pregnancy test paper Henry handed over and examined it carefully. His face was as calm as still water, not revealing any emotions. The whole room seemed to hold its breath. Even Henry started breaking out in cold sweat. Wrong. Sebastian placed the paper on the table. The birth date is wrong. I picked it up to look, it really was wrong. In that instant, I didn't know whether to feel lucky or sad. After loving each other for 6 years, this scumbag had even forgotten my birthday. You know her birthday. Henry rarely dared to question Sebastian Pho. Sebastian glanced over and answered casually, I have a good memory. Henry immediately choked up. I spoke up at just the right time. Grandfather, I'm really not pregnant. No matter what reason Henry used to say I was pregnant, the truth was still that I wasn't. I glanced toward Sebastian Pho. Henry, kneel in your room. Mr. Pho acted first. Then grandfather spoke with authority, eat first. After dinner, I stood under a tree admiring the moon. Suddenly, a strong force pushed me against the trunk. I looked up. It was Sebastian Pho. I warned softly, let me go. He stared into my eyes. 2 seconds of silence passed. Has he kissed you? I choked. We've been together for 6 years. What do you think? Sebastian pressed closer, slowly biting and sucking. I cried out in pain. Normally, he would stop but not this time. Let me go. I struggled but was still held tight. Vivian, is something wrong? Mrs. Plo's voice rang out. I tried to stay calm and said softly, a mosquito bit me. I glared angrily at Sebastian Pho. He curled his lips and suddenly bit me again. I had intended to endure it, but this time he was clearly doing it on purpose. Vivian, are you okay? Mrs. Plo's voice called out again. I'm fine. The mosquito bit me again. Mosquitoes know how to kiss people. Sebastian played with my hair, leaning close. I glared at him. Who knows? I'm leaving now. My phone vibrated. Wendy, my assistant, sent a message. Boss, the surveillance you asked me to do on Catherine Zhang has new goods. There's a video attached. You need to prepare yourself. My first reaction was that it must be Henry again. Those two were so tangled up, getting caught on camera wasn't surprising. But when I opened the video, the images on screen were so stimulating that I felt I needed to prepare myself one more time. 2 minutes later, I finished watching the video with a wrinkled face and messaged Wendy back. Does anyone else have this video? Wendy replied that only our company had the exclusive. Okay. Keep it ready. I'll tell you when to release it. Understood. Great work. Double your salary, I praised. Thank you. Beautiful boss. I turned off my phone and unconsciously looked out the window. My gaze suddenly stopped. From here, I could see that tree. The sound of running water was still coming from the bathroom. Henry hadn't come out yet. Right after dinner, he was sent to kneel in his room. He probably hadn't seen. Thinking this, I breathed a sigh of relief, not noticing at all that the bathroom door had opened. Henry had been standing behind me for who knows how long. He leisurely hugged me from behind. His voice gentle. What are you thinking about? My body immediately stiffened, feeling somewhat repulsed. I was about to push away when he leaned close to my ear and whispered. Let me, okay. In his dreams. Why did you say I was pregnant? I asked. Taking advantage of his stunned moment, I slipped out of his arms. Henry reached out to tuck my hair behind my ear. You said you were hungry then. I just wanted to find an excuse so you could eat. Just that. I didn't believe it. But that excuse shouldn't have been like that. Henry quickly agreed. Right. But where exactly did that fake pregnancy test come from? Before I could finish thinking, I heard the news that Henry let Catherine Zhang participate in the Blooming Flowers film. Although the role wasn't large, it was the sole character of the entire film. Without saying much, I withdrew my investment. I understood the principle of one bad apple spoiling the whole barrel. My phone vibrated. Wendy messaged, Boss, there are results for the Sunflower case you asked me to investigate. Sunflower was director Kwan's comeback work after 9 years. The news was extremely confidential, but I still sniffed it out. Boss, the chief investor of this film is Vice President Sebastian Pho. My typing hand froze. I typed a line. Increase investment and also prepare a divorce agreement. In the private room, I'm pregnant. It's Henry's child. I raised my eyebrow and said in a casual tone, I don't believe it. Catherine Zhang froze, looking at me, then pulled out a paper from her bag and handed it to me. I looked clearly at the pregnancy test content. Now I believed it. This pregnancy test, aside from the different name, was identical to the one Henry had shown before. I calmly put it away. Does Henry know? Catherine Zhang tapped her fingers on the table, her face triumphant. He knows. Oh, my reaction was very flat. I stood up to leave. Today's goal had been achieved. Wet, Catherine Zhang hurriedly called me back. Aren't you curious what he plans to do with this baby? I stopped. Catherine Zhang smiled sinisterly. He wants to register this baby under your name. It's the firstborn. First time being a father. The emotions are very special. Henry too really was a scumbag. I turned to look at her and asked slowly, are you sure you can give birth to this baby? Catherine Zhang's face trembled slightly. She tried to regain her composure and continued. I heard you and Henry have deep feelings. Surely you don't want a mistress to give birth to a child, right? I nodded in acknowledgement. How about I just give Henry to you? No. Catherine Zhang refused immediately. I raised my eyebrow. So what do you want? She deliberately coughed a few times, her tone coy. Miss Sheng. I want you to delete all my scandals online. I got goosebumps all over. She was smart. She knew clearly that men couldn't be relied on. Only money and reputation truly mattered. It's just that her methods didn't suit my taste. So I'm sorry, I'll consider it. I answered perfunctorily. Catherine Zhang smiled sweetly again and backed off. Miss Sheng, I'll wait for your news. I walked away as fast as I could fly. Blooming Flowers was nearly wrapped. So was Sunflower. Henry poured all his effort into publicity, causing the entire social media to split into factions. Fans were anticipating it, while outsiders were still hesitant. Before the premiere date, Catherine Zhang came to find me 3 times. I refused each time. She wanted to buy back those scandals, but no one would sell. 1 week before the film hit theaters, I prepared to release a series of her scandals. Catherine Zhang pregnant. Right after the hashtag was the word, hot. I clicked on her Weibo. Attached was a silhouette photo of a man and woman. The man was Henry. I recognized him at a glance. I continued reading the comments. Most were congratulatory. Thanks to the straightforward big sister image Catherine Zhang had built in the industry. My phone showed a new notification. Wendy messaged. Boss. Should I post more? I thought for a moment, then sent a few more photos. Post them. Include these too. Catherine Zhang thought she could divert the fire in another direction. Then I'd gift her a big package. Wendy worked extremely fast. Less than 2 minutes later. The keywords changed to Catherine Zhang threesome, Catherine Zhang mistress, Henry cheating. The keywords had just gone up and hadn't cooled down yet when Catherine Zhang went on livestream to clarify. It was the same old trick, but I had to admit it was effective. Find a team of trolls, divide them into 2 waves to attack crosswise. After sending that message, I looked up out the window. It was time to make Henry suffocate for a while too. I took out the divorce agreement and headed straight to Flow Corporation headquarters. I coldly watched Henry make 1 phone call after another, so anxious he kicked the chair hard. I glanced at my phone screen. Blooming Flowers had been temporarily suspended from release. This film now had no value anymore. Keywords related to Henry also disappeared without a trace. The Pho family was ultimately still a century-old clan. Anyway, I didn't really expect to gain anything from the divorce. I looked into the office and saw Henry sitting limply in his chair, exhausted. I slowly knocked on the door. Henry shouted irritably, "Get out." I didn't care and just walked in. He was about to get angry, but seeing it was me, he immediately forced out a smile. "It's you." I thought it was some clueless employee. Suddenly, as if remembering something, he asked me worriedly, "Have you seen the hot search?" "Hot search? I'm the one who put it up there." He thinks I don't know for sure. I pretended not to understand. "Is there something important?" "Let me check it now." I was about to pull out my phone. Henry hurriedly changed the subject, pretending to be pitiful. "Vivian, can you help me?" I was silent for 2 seconds. "Tell me the details." Seeing hope, Henry immediately explained. The actress in Blooming Flowers had an incident. All his money had been poured into publicity. Now there was nothing left to handle the crisis. I pretended to nod in understanding. "But remember, this project was originally Uncle's. How did it end up in your hands?" As if he had practiced hundreds of times, Henry's face showed no guilt at all. "Uncle saw I was capable and voluntarily handed it over." "That's a bit too self-congratulatory." I placed a stack of papers in front of him. "Sign this and I'll help you." Normally he would carefully review the content, but this time, because he was too anxious, he only read the first page before signing immediately. Perhaps in his mind, anyone could deceive him, but not Vivian Sheng. After signing, I took the papers and left with satisfaction. Henry called after me, "Vivian, try to be quick." "Of course," I answered casually. Blooming Flowers failed, Sunflower took advantage and accelerated. Within a week, they quietly promoted it. Without consuming director Kwan's reputation, they focused on the film's content value. Unlike Henry, who only focused on showing off the star cast, Sunflower touched the audience's emotions. Just 2 days after its release, it broke records. I was at home listening to the news, smiling so wide my eyes squinted. Of course, I also didn't forget to add more trouble for Henry. I sent him an electronic divorce agreement. His name was clearly on the paper. You cheated. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Come on time for the divorce. Messages from Henry came flooding in. The phone also rang continuously. I casually handled the combo block delete silent as a grave. Understanding Henry's personality, I knew at this moment he wouldn't easily comply. Thinking for 2 seconds, I sent another message. Uncle, I'm going to get a divorce. Sebastian Pho replied immediately. Time 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Henry will arrive on time. I happily hummed a tune. Sebastian Pho understood me best. The person who annoyed me was about to disappear. During the time Catherine Zhang met with trouble, I obediently stayed home and didn't step outside. Someone like Catherine Zhang falling from the top, who knew what tricks she'd pull. So I sent all of Henry's locations to her. Let those two deal with each other. I had always trusted Sebastian Pho. When I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Henry and Sebastian Pho were already waiting outside. Uncle. Sebastian nodded slightly. In no time, the procedures were complete. Henry's face looked dejected as he muttered, how did it come to this? Hearing this, I asked back. Aren't you the one who knows best? As if suddenly awakening, Henry froze. You knew all along. I nodded, not wanting to argue further. Sebastian Pho pulled my hand and we left. Today also happened to be the day we had to return to the family home for dinner. I took the opportunity to watch one final act. In the car, I boredly scrolled through WeChat. Lily Tao. Happiness within reach. The attached photo was a picture with Hector Chu. No wonder Hector withdrew from the entertainment industry. Previously, after Lily messaged that she was safe, she went completely silent. I left a comment, wishing you happiness. Not long after, Lily messaged me privately. Vivian, let go of the past and cherish the person in front of you. Wishing you happiness too. The person in front of me. I looked up at Sebastian Pho sitting in the driver's seat. Was he the person in front of me? I thought of Eric Shen. Without Lily Tso, that person must be going crazy. I was about to tell Wendy to investigate for me, but then I thought, didn't I already have someone right in front of me? Uncle. Eric Shen isn't pulling any tricks, is he? Sebastian understood I was asking about Lily Tso. He was silent for 2 seconds then answered what I was waiting for. Second young master has let go. Lily Tso was truly free from the sea of suffering now. When we arrived at the family home, Mr. and Mrs. Tu sat solemnly in their seats. Catherine Zhang stood seriously. What was she doing here? Henry arrived late and was also stunned to see Catherine Zhang. He wasn't the one who brought her. I sat down full of doubt. A light cough broke the silence. The butler pushed Grandfather Pho in. Seeing this, Catherine Zhang immediately spoke sweetly. Hello. Grandfather. Grandfather didn't pay attention and walked straight to me. You've suffered so much grievance. Clearly he had known beforehand. Henry knelt down beside him, his voice soft. Grandfather, I was wrong. Grandfather raised his cane and struck him hard on the back. The force was so strong that watching it made my spine go cold. He deserved it. Catherine Zhang also knelt down beside him. Grandfather, just hit me, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me getting pregnant with Henry's child, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Hearing this, Mrs. Ku's face flashed with worry. I slightly curled my lips and laughed out loud. It seemed as long as it was Henry's child, anyone who gave birth would be accepted. It's Henry's child. Grandfather clasped his hands together, his face full of doubt. Catherine Zhang nodded vigorously. Yes, I can prove it. Without paying attention to anyone's gaze, I took out the pregnancy test paper. After that previous meeting, I had verified that what she said was true. Everyone looked toward grandfather, waiting for him to speak. Is our Ku family a charity? One sentence made Catherine Zhang freeze and look up. She looked toward Henry and saw only a cold face. Catherine Zhang understood. This move was a mistake. The butler escorted her away. Catherine Zhang shed tears full of unwillingness. She asked herself, she had given everything to get what she wanted. Was she wrong? Using any means to achieve her goal, was that really wrong? Henry and I are divorced. The whole room was silent for a few seconds. Henry's face couldn't hide his panic. I wondered if he was panicking because the secret was exposed or because of something else. Grandfather closed his eyes, then slowly opened them. You did the right thing. His gaze turned toward Henry. Stay home for now. Don't go out. I was silent. Being born into the Pho family was already Henry's great fortune. Grandfather said, I'm tired. The butler pushed him away. Henry collapsed to the ground. How did it come to this? The project he had racked his brains to get lost hundreds of millions. He began to regret. I shouldn't have done that. I still have Vivian. Vivian. I was wrong, don't leave me. I glanced at him and walked past. Henry immediately knelt down about to pull me back. One sentence from Mr. Tu made him freeze. How disgraceful. That's right. At this point, what dignity did he have left? When Sebastian Pho returned from the company, I was standing in front of the old family home gate. He looked at me and asked gently, hungry? I nodded, starving. He instructed the driver to get in the car. I looked at him. I still owe you a meal. Remember? Remember. Just consider it a permanent debt. Don't repay it. Let's go to Jade Garden. Sebastian Pho smiled softly. I'll cook for you, the kind I can eat for a lifetime. Yes. A lifetime.